Hey, everybody, I'm David Bloom. I am a co-founder of Next TMT and Next TMT Talks. We are here today with Vikash Sharma, head of product for DirecTV, which is a really pain in the ass, gigantic, important job trying to transform the satellite caster. I don't really have satcaster, I guess is the word. And now you guys are so much more, as the squirrels tell us in the ads. But it's interesting.
Right.
Let's just talk a little bit before we got on air here. You mentioned in passing AT&T used to own you, changed, sent you off, and now you're remaking the company, really. So let's talk about what you guys have done and why you've transformed what DirecTV is. It's very different from what it was even like 2020, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, thanks for having me, David. Really looking forward to our conversation here. It's been now some time since DirecTV has been an independent company, and we've been very purposeful in really thinking about the consumer experience moving forward, particularly as a standalone video distributor. And you hit the nail on the head, right? While historically we've been known for satellite-based distribution, our focus now is much more towards streaming. And really, when you think about the prioritization of streaming, that strategy has been built around really three principles. And so the first one is choice. And so, consumers now want to choose what they want to watch, how they want to watch it, where they want to watch it. When you start to think about a lot of the content offerings out there, some of them have migrated onto other streaming platforms. And so it became critical for us to make sure that we enabled choice for customers. And so that's exactly the type of rationale that drove us to start to prioritize our streaming platforms. As you think about choice too, it became really important to understand how much consumers want to pay for content. And so, of course, we've been always known to have our traditional packages, what we call signature packages in market. And these are the full bundles with a lot of content, which are perfect for certain households. But we've also heard from our consumers that they're looking for skinnier bundles of content. And so that
Right. I mean, famously, you guys would have like thousands of channels. I mean, you guys were able to take advantage of the bandwidth that a satellite approach allowed, and you could so many more than the typical cable box of 20 years ago, right? But now it's everything, and maybe not any much of anything in some ways. I mean, people are like, "Dude, that's too much," right? So you've got to be able to provide some new. So we'll call it nuance.
yeah.
You call it product, I call it nuance within this. So
Yeah,
you were saying,
yeah, no, absolutely. And just from that lens, it's really about now providing more of that, as you said, nuance to customers, right? And so they say, okay, if I want that signature pack, I have that available. But now we have these genre packs where we've focused on creating more accessible, more affordable packages. It's not the all-you-can-eat model that you get with our signature packages, but it is much more focused, and that meets the needs of a lot of our consumers, right, that are
Mhm.
specifically looking for entertainment or specifically looking for sports or specifically looking for news. And so there's that offering. And we didn't stop there because we also believe that, there are certain customers that either through the year or either through parts of the year may not want to pay for content at all. And so think about a consumer that's watching the playoffs and the excitement here as the season comes to an end, and if they're a basketball fan, after they're done, they may want to just take a little bit of a breather. And we want to make sure that while they don't need to pay us for a subscription, they still have content to watch. And so part of that was enabling a choice with My Free Direct TV, which is all free for the customer. They don't need to pay us anything for it, and they can still access over 150 channels. And so,
And that's really important though, to make sure that you don't lose that customer. This is keeping them around because reacquiring that customer is a gigantic pain in the rear and very expensive. Correct. So this is, hey, there's some things to still watch. Don't get rid of us because we can still provide you entertainment. It won't cost you much of anything, and there's value here, right? I mean, that's the value prop to the viewer.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, but partially that's the value prop to the view for DirecTV, right, and for the viewer. But I would again just bring it back more on the consumer option perspective. Certain companies have done this where you sign up for a paid package, and then when you are disconnecting, they'll drop you down to a free package. Our approach again is providing really transparent choice from the get go, and so even if you come to DirecTV for the first time, you're presented with that choice, right? Hey, what would you like to pay? You can start off by paying $0 with my free DirecTV, all the way through paying for a genre pack or a signature pack. And so those options exist. And so we believe that, yes, there is that use case of a churned off customer off of a paid subscription that may want a free service for a period of time. And you mentioned some of the efficiencies in reacquiring that customer, but we also believe our product experience is very strong. And when you have a strong product experience, consumers just want to use that to discover and search for more content and watch content, particularly through some of these fast networks and fast channels that DirecTV offers. And so
Right.
and again, I said we had three principles, and I just got through one of them, but it's such an important one, David. Right? It's really about enabling choice for the customer. And the second one really focuses on that choice, which is flexibility. And we started talking about that already. This whole scenario of upgrading, downgrading, customizing their experience. And we don't want you. I think customers don't want to go to multiple products or multiple apps or multiple services to get different versions of that experience, right? And so within our core product offering and our user experience, you can do everything from, like I said, sign up for my free DirecTV. You don't need a credit card. You can come in, just, once you give us your first name, last name, and email address, you get access to the service right away. Watch that content, and then when you're ready to upgrade to a package, it takes you maybe one click at best to sign up for that paid package right within the offering without ever having to leave that. And so I think that's another important part of making sure that we have flexibility. And then third, and we should spend a little bit more time talking about this because it's such a problem for consumers today, is this idea of content fragmentation that has taken place, and
Well,
consumers,
content source
yes,
fragmentation. So
content
it's really the sources are fragmented all over the place, right?
sources
So
are fragmented, and consumers are frustrated because they don't have control, right, of that fragmentation. And so one of our third principle was really around providing that control or giving that control back to the consumer. And so how do you do that, right? You bring a combination of the live TV offerings that consumers are used to. You bring all of the streaming services within one unified experience and that free content, and it gives consumers a much simpler way to discover and access all of that entertainment, and so or sports or news. And so I think that becomes really really important for consumers to have, right. And that's as we started off by saying, DirecTV, with our focus on innovation and the customer, is really building around these three principles to drive a lot of value here.
let's focus a little bit, if we could, on the My Sports bundle, because there's nothing more valuable on television these days than sports, as evidenced by the rights payments that all the big players are paying out to all the leagues. It's like, woof, that'll cover my bar bill. And that's a lot, as you can tell, given how I am. But it's really interesting to see that. And it comes at a time when we've seen the utter collapse of the regional sports networks, except in Los Angeles, the utter collapse of RSNs across the country. I mean, nearly half of the Major League Baseball teams now are going through the league's own operation because they no longer have their local provider. Lots of others are trying to figure out plan B. It's hard to find stuff sometimes because it is scattered across lots and lots of places. So it feels like somebody who pulls that together
Yeah.
is really solving a major issue for incredibly valuable content that has maybe not, it's not everybody, but boy, it's a 20% of the audience that is incredibly ardent and will pay for it, right?
Totally. And again, you just look at that. disintermediation. I know we touched on the RSNs, and we should talk about that here in a second. But even at the national sports league rights and at the broadcaster rights level, right? This content is now not only uh, being disintermediated across multiple services, and now most customers have to buy individual services to go and follow their one team, right? And so if I'm, if I want to watch the Rams on Thursday Night Football, I have to go to Amazon Prime Video. If there's a wild card game, I have to go to Netflix. If there's another in the Thanksgiving game, I need to go to another platform. And so it's just it's chaotic. And I think there's two things happening. One is people have to pay more for this content and create access. But what's more frustrating is how do you follow where your game's at during the season, right? And our example was around football here, but you could take that same example and apply it to really any league.
Well, it's far worse, let's just be frank, in basketball and hockey and baseball
Exactly.
because there's so many more games,
So
right?
many
They're
happening.
across the calendar,
Yeah.
for 6 or 8 months, and boy, where's that game tonight? Probably not just my team, but maybe I just wanna see a game
That's right.
of maybe I like watching pro basketball, like, where do I find the game tonight? It's like, good luck.
Exactly. And so we looked at that and we said this is a real problem, and so let's start by solving for the discovery of your favorite teams and your favorite leagues and your favorite sports all in one central place. And so we came up with a couple of different ways to make it easier on the consumer. Really, at the heart of it is what we call Sports Central, and it's a place for you to, not have to make a ton of decisions, right, around what services do I have and where do I go watch this. All we wanted to know was, hey, what's your favorite team, right? Or what's your favorite league, or what's your favorite sport? And based off of that answer, we would then go ahead and make sure through the entire season or through the year you could discover exactly where your team's playing. And more importantly, we will get you to that as quickly and efficiently as possible. And so, in this case, we have our DirecTV Gemini hardware device, right? It's a streaming box that our consumers can get if they so choose to. And as they get that device and they've set it up and they've told us what team they're most passionate about and they're following, it allows us to now start to say, okay, your team is playing on this schedule, and as part of this schedule, you can watch them Monday night on Fox, and you can watch them on this other streaming service on Thursdays. And so we've really now gone ahead and created a much simpler way for consumers to follow their teams. And then more importantly, as that content shows up right within the DirecTV user interface, they can just just follow their team, one tap of their remote, and it takes them right into the game. And so there's no more guessing of, okay, I got to go now navigate three or four different user interfaces across three or four different streaming services. We really simplified that. And so it's timely, it's relevant, it shows up exactly when you're tuning in for the game, and it really helps enable that discovery and simplicity of the experience here comes to life.
The bundle thing makes a lot of sense for consumers. For a long time, it really wasn't possible. Providers like DirecTV and all the traditional cable companies would love to have been much more nuanced in their offerings, but couldn't because of the penetration minimums that the big providers. If you want these guys, you got to take everything else, and you got to run it all on your big tiers.
Yep.
And even if nobody's watching that show ever, it's still got a life, sort of
Yep.
running on, which is good business for them, but not good business for you guys and not good business for your customers.
That's right.
That's sort of fracturing now
It
to
is.
the good, I
Yep.
would suggest. But we even saw, I mean, you guys, I think, were involved in challenging the venue package that three of the big sports rights holders were trying to put together to make sure that you guys and all the other customers would have access. I mean, this is really the bundle as it was known for 25 or 30 years has been definitively broken.
Yep.
And I'm curious what's in and what's out. Like Charter did a good job, I think, of finally saying to like Disney, we're not going to take all these little things,
Mhm.
and we want a piece of Disney Plus. You guys are now doing this stuff. You guys are providing access to the streaming apps, full boat things, kind of folded in. Talk a little bit about that. It's no longer
Yeah.
streaming or cable slash Satcaster or
Mhm.
broadcast. I mean, it's much more integrated now,
It,
right?
yeah, it is, and I think again that's why it's really important to deliver consistency in the user experience, right? And so let's start off by talking about the availability of more choice for customers, right? Like I said, we still have those signature packages, and we do see some customers want that, right? They say, hey, I don't want to make a decision around, whether I want to watch entertainment or I want to watch sports. I want both of them. Well, okay, great. We've got a product right there for you. But that choice of what really genre packs has enabled has, number one, created lower price points, and so more consumers can access these services, and they see more price value in that approach. And number two, we believe that people should not have to pay for content twice, right? And so, for example, if we're doing a deal with a programmer to package up something within a genre pack, and content is available from a direct to consumer app that programmer has, we believe that you should get as a consumer, you should get access to that content all in one place. And so take, for example, my entertainment genre pack, which starts off at 34.99. And so, as part of that, in addition to all the linear channels and all the content that's available, consumers also get access to HBO Max, they get access to Disney Plus, and they get access to Hulu. And so, all of that content, we don't think you should have to pay for it twice. And so, that's the type of, I think, innovation that one DirecTV is pushing for within the industry to really reform some of the ways consumers are getting access to their content. And then the second part of it is really related to, again, that search and discovery of the experience, right? And so
Right.
again, today, if you've got specific shows that only reside within one of those direct to consumer services, we want to really have a simple place for you to go discover all of that content in one place. Traditionally that was always done in the guide, right? And we understand that modern consumers are now looking for content outside of the guide. And so, how do you showcase that? How do you merchandise that? And more importantly, David, how do you personalize that, right? If I know you are a Star Wars fan, I've got a very specific way to merchandise The Mandalorian for you, which is on Disney Plus, but in an integrated fashion within the DirecTV experience. And again, the goal here is get the consumers to the content that they want to watch as quickly as possible. Make sure that they're seeing the value in the services that they're getting, and third, and this is, I think, a plus for not only DirecTV, but for the programmers as well, is to create that level of engagement, because at the end of the day, consumers are spending their hard-earned money on these services, and
Right.
they need to feel that they're getting value out of it, right? And engagement is that currency that really helps us determine it.
It's really crucial here because I think on the one hand, feeling like you're getting value and not buying a lot of stuff you don't need
Yeah.
is really useful for DirecTV because people are more likely to stick around.
Uh-huh.
But it also allows you all, and I think this, I don't know how well this was understood for a long time about owning the customer. And from a business standpoint, you all are now the interface that surfaces the pick of the litter for a specific recipient of programming they're most likely to want to watch. And you have the relationships on billing and who the customer is and all that stuff beyond in ways that TV that traditional TV never had, and the streaming guys do have. Maybe they haven't fully realized it, but you have that. And so that feels like a win for you guys and a win for the customer, but particularly again, reducing churn. Talk to me about having that layer, how you use that in terms of providing a better experience and how you can use that. I mean, it seems like that's the next step is really taking advantage of that deep knowledge and
Mhm.
relationship over time.
Yeah, and so, in today's day and age in particular, right, you've got enough technologies that can understand consumer sentiment and consumer behavior, but it needs to be translated in a way that makes sense for the consumer too. And so I think about things like personalization, right? Every DirecTV is a household product, right? We believe that it's for and the way we've really built our service is you can get it, of course, on streaming hardware of our choice. You can get it, if you so choose, on satellite, but you can also get it as an app on any of your existing streaming devices, right? Today, almost 9 out of 10 customers can access DirecTV on their existing piece of hardware at home, whether it's a smart television, whether it's a connected set-top box from any of the big popular streaming devices out there. And then we also have that experience show up on mobile, and so most households have multiple devices. What really becomes important here is how do you personalize the experience for individual members of the household. And so our DirecTV experience, we now have individual profiles. And so, mom and dad and the kiddos can all have their own unique profiles. And once you have that set up, the experience is constantly learning, right? And learning in order to go and drive and deliver a better interface for you. And so if you're watching more streaming services, you'll start to see that populate within our UI. If you're watching a channel more frequently, that's what we'll prioritize for you. And so the idea here is to help, again, broaden that engagement by showcasing what content we believe you're more likely to watch across
Right.
a variety of those sources or nuances, as you called it at the beginning of our show here. And so I'm really bullish about that experience continuing to get better and better, particularly as we implement these new technologies. Of course, the generative AI and large language models are unlocking a completely different level of personalization across industries. And
I have heard that.
yeah,
I didn't think it was true. I thought it was just a rumor.
yeah,
But you guys are actually one of the funny things is the mild irony here. As people are skinnying their bundles down, you're making it possible for them to watch more channels at once with
yeah,
these sports mix and news mix, so they can have I don't know 4 election night feeds
yeah,
going or 4 March Madness games at once instead of just one and things
yeah.
like that. I mean, that
Eh,
and there's even stuff like they've got some of the channels are doing that. So I can just imagine you get like 16 of these things on a really, really big screen and like just go to town and be
yeah,
super media dude. So,
yeah. I know you now you have your own production studio right at home, right? With all
oh,
the
totally. Totally. You got to need switchers to go back and forth and throw the audio up over here and maybe put another one in the back. I mean, like you can
That's
go to
right.
town.
That's right. Yeah, and again, we just feel that that's the right experience, right? If you're a sports fan and you're buying My Sports from us, you should have access to multi-view and should be able to navigate between multiple sports games. I'll take it even a step further. We're now identifying and creating hubs of content. So, as an example, we just launched the World Cup Hub just a few days ago as the World Cup here got kicked off, and you can
Just in time,
just
right?
in
You're
time,
gonna have, like,
yeah.
this soccer thing on, and
They-
people can watch all this stuff. But what does that look like, though, in terms of your hub? So it's like, yes, the game, but
it-
there's pregame stuff and postgame stuff. Like, what does the hub look like? Does it
so,
have,
yeah,
like, all the brackets and things like that? Like, what are we talking about
yeah.
here?
So
How
yeah,
sophisticated?
it's pretty sophisticated, and so it starts off by first. We know everybody's got an allegiance here in the World Cup, right? And I'm rooting here for Team
Or
USA
6?
or six in some cases, right?
Brazil. Everybody's like Brazil's like their second or third
Yeah,
choice because it's
you just
Brazil.
you just need a priority order, right? But
Yeah, yeah.
as you even think through it, you select your favorite team, and so first things first, right? Within this hub experience, we are prioritizing those games, and so moment that game's on, that's what you see front and center, because we know
Mm,
that that's what you're probably most interested in. Uh, and again, you can follow it by team, you can follow it by specific matchup. When you know that there's a contentious rivalry on, you can watch that very specifically. And so all of the live games are all being centered around this hub experience. And particularly we're able to now also navigate very easily between multiple games on at once, which will start to happen as the volume of the games increase here over the coming days and weeks.
mm.
Put that aside for a second, we also know that when you're in that experience or that hub experience, you just want to consume it all, right? And so you mentioned, there's pre-game analysis, there's post-game analysis, there's feeds around, your favorite sports talk shows. There could be an odd line channel if you want to get more informed around your fantasy lineup or your betting needs. And then sometimes, we also feel that, we also see that, people just want to like, hey, I'd love to watch a documentary about my team getting ready for the World Cup, right? And so all of that, whether it's live, whether it's analysis and sports news, or whether it's even documentaries, movies, and TV shows and TV series specifically around that genre, all starts to show up in one singular destination within the DirecTV experience, both on our own hardware as well as within the apps. And now you're able to use that to really navigate the breadth of the World Cup. And that's just one example, David, right? You can imagine
Yeah,
as
yeah.
we this is as we think about future events and future sporting tent poles, there's really a lot of opportunity here for consumers to get very immersed in what they're most excited and passionate about.
So talk to me a little bit going forward. You're the head of product for DirecTV. You got to be figuring out what's going to make sense going forward. Now, we are doing this as we get prepared for the Stream TV show in Denver, which is all about streaming,
Mhm.
which is certainly big, big, big. But you guys handle a lot of different ranges of media. Like, what's next? What are the things that you feel like you mentioned AI in passing? It turns out it could be big. I don't know. Could be big. Uh, like, where do you guys go next? What's on your agenda that you can talk about? Actually, talk about the things you even can't talk about because that's even better.
Yeah.
But like, what's coming up
Yeah.
and the future of distribution and how you all, what you can say about what you're going to do about it. Where do
Yeah.
we go from here?
Well, yeah, yeah. So again, I think I gotta always bring it back to our reason for being and the principles around choice, flexibility, and control, because that's really what this is all about, right? At the end of the day, with all the fragmentation that's taking place within media. And so, what I would say is what we're noticing, and you're noticing, and the industry's noticing, is we know that content's getting more fragmented, platforms are getting more fragmented, even audiences to a certain extent. They have very specific identities, right? And so, across all of this, how do we create that simplicity and really create more intuitive ways for consumers to find their content and start to get engaged, right? And so our product experience is really there to cater to that, right? And so, for example, as we think about some of the innovation that we've brought into our Gemini hardware, like I said, we've also got our DirecTV app experience. And so you don't need hardware from us if you don't want to have that, but you can access that experience on your existing smart TV. And so, how do we start to really create a more unified vision of that aggregation experience across all pieces of hardware, right? And that's going to require not only us pushing the envelope with innovation here, but even some of the distribution partners, the technology partners here. We mentioned things like generative AI and some of the companies that they're doing that work to really help and simplify that discovery and search experience. And I will say we've started to do that, right? We've started to take a position that even outside the DirecTV app experience, you can go in and start to search for content. Like for example, Amazon is a great partner of ours, and within their Fire TV experience, now consumers can start to see their content show up within the DirecTV content show up within Amazon's home screen, and then find an easy way to link back right into our app, right, to go and watch that content. And so those are the types of things that we want to do to help create simplicity, because it's very fragmented otherwise, as we've been talking about. And so our role and our mission, I don't think changes here, David, right? Our role is really to bring that content together, the experiences together, even the advertising solutions that make it easier for people to navigate across these disparate offerings. And so really everything that we're doing and we're focusing on, whether it's on our residential side or our business side or our ad side, is really delivering that.
All right. Well, that seems like a good place to wrap this up. I'm David Bloom with Next TMT, and Next TMT Talks is here podcasts. I have been joined by Vikash Sharma, head of product for former satellite only company, now much more diverse and interesting and nuanced, DirecTV, doing some interesting stuff. Thank you so much, Vikash. I hope you have a fantastic Stream TV show. Are you going to be there? Are people going to be able to see you?
Well, I will be there, and I look forward to it. And so, again, thanks for having me here, David. And we have a lot of interesting panels at Stream TV. I will be on one of them, and so really looking forward to meeting everybody at Stream TV.
All right. With that, we'll wrap this thing up. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks a lot. All right.